Hey, and a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle Weather Studios. Meteorologist Dan Nyman over in Panama City, who's going to talk snow for the next half hour.
I was about to say, there's only two reasons that you're joining us tonight at 6. You want to know, do
Chris
I
and
have to
Dan.
wrap faucets? Do I need to drip water on Friday? And is it going to snow? Nobody cares about anything else.
Nope. Nope, that's pretty much it. And we are not going to give you any definites tonight, but we will talk about possibilities and why things look maybe a little bit better than they did yesterday and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting. But this is the great thing. We don't have 3 minutes to tell you the weather. We have as much time as we want, at least until I get
Open-ended.
hungry.
Yeah, that'll be coming here soon for me, I'm sure. But the snow, really interesting stuff. Obviously, it's the trend is never your friend when you talk about snow in the Gulf Coast. But then on the backside of things, the models are looking intriguing to say the very least. The snowfall chances right now are still pretty low, but it's not zero either, which
Hmm.
is I think one of the big reasons for excitement here across the Panhandle. Now, the one key part of it all, Chris, and we'll talk more about this in a whole lot of detail soon, but you might have to set an alarm to see it if we end up getting any. It kind of depends on timing, but
Yeah.
there could be a chance that you'll have to get out of bed early if you want to catch a glimpse. All of that will be worked out, of course, in the forecast over the next few days. We're still in that kind of pattern recognition phase for forecasting snowfall. And I think by maybe late Friday, early Saturday, we'll feel better one way or the other, whether or not there's a chance of actually seeing something for the second year in a row or if we're going to be left disappointed for this winter.
Yeah, sorry, I'm responding to somebody in the comments already.
That's all right. I'll take things from here, and we'll take a look outside right now, of course, as you guys sent in a whole lot of photos throughout the course of the day today. Here's a pic from the Upers, who have been great contributors to Panhandle weather over the course of the last couple of weeks. As you look out across Panama City Beach right there, look how rough the water out there was, as we saw just a slight little wind change out there for today. From Scoop over in Port St. Joe, a bit different of a story. You see the water almost drained out there from near the coastline as we've had those wind directions kind of shifting around, changing the way the water has been interacting in some of our protected waterways through the past few days. Look out across Mexico Beach there, certainly choppy. You also see some of those rays poking through the overcast skies, which moved on throughout the day today. David Wesley catching a view of that as well. We appreciate all of the viewer photos sent in on the Panhandle Weather app. The app, of course, free on the iOS and Google Play Store, and when you download it, it's about the third tile down, so you can scroll down and be a part of the show yourself by submitting your photos. And there might be some opportunities for some really exciting photos to be submitted as we work our way on through the weekend. We'll see details on that in just a bit. Out in Panama City Beach right now, it is cold. Temperatures starting to cool down, but you still have that brisk northwesterly wind out there too, with dew point temperatures in the 40s and rough Gulf waters present as well. Look over towards Destin at the moment. Fairly smooth going there over the bridge. Lighter winds in place too, but folks walking just towards the bottom right corner of the screen certainly bundled up at this time. The Panama City camera just looked like it had some problems there, but we still have folks out in the beach areas having a bonfire here this evening. Not quite as cold tonight, but still cold for Florida standards, although the bottom's certainly dropping out here soon. As we get in towards tomorrow, it will feel a whole lot worse than temperatures were out there for today. Early this morning, you might have heard the pitter patters on the rooftop. That first batch of what was a kind of two-pronged approach for rainfall moved on through the morning hours today. It was shortly after sunrise in my neighborhood, and now we are seeing a couple more light showers breezing in towards the western panhandle. That's moving across 65 right now and looks to be mainly an inland brief little rain shower that we could see slide on through. You see a few more little pop-ups back towards parts of Louisiana up near Monroe. Jackson going to miss out just a bit here, but it's all sweeping through quite quickly. So if you do happen to catch a shower over the next few hours, it will be very brief in nature. And that's been kind of the case throughout the daytime hours for today. Of course, the morning round of rainfall moved through fast too, so we didn't see a whole lot as far as rain totals go, and that was the expectation. Just a few hundredths of an inch across the panhandle and closer to a tenth of an inch up towards the northwestern part of northwest Florida. As you look at temperatures right now, obviously things are a little better than they have been the past few days, but the bottom drops out once the rainfall pushes through, and the next of a trio of fronts pushes through the area through the overnight hours tonight. Temperatures this morning dropped down into the 40s for most, closer to the mid 40s in coastal spots. Saw a few 30s down towards the Forgotten Coast, but it wasn't a terrible afternoon either. Obviously, we had a few more clouds, but high temperatures did work their way back up into the 60s across most of the area. Now they're slowly falling back through the 50s, or if you're unlucky in Bluntstown, you're back side of the 40s right now. That is still warmer than it was last night, and we are seeing temperatures from 4 to 6 or perhaps even 10 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. Of course, a different story is on the way, Chris. We've been talking about this next big shot of cool air, and that's, of course, one of the two big questions folks are checking in wanting answered is the S word, but also, what do I need to do as temperatures bottom out here after this front? Tomorrow afternoon is going to be uncomfortable, to say the least. Friday morning, perhaps the coldest morning we've seen so far through winter.
Yeah, and I think we're going to talk about temperatures into the low to maybe mid-20s inland. Now, maybe a freeze for the coast. It's not a slam dunk. And it should be a good bit warmer at the coast as opposed to inland. And that all has to do with the wind, which is quickly going to return off the Gulf as we head into your Friday morning. So take a look at your winds tonight. Our winds are now beginning to change more out of the west and northwest. And the winds will be howling tonight into tomorrow, 10, 15, maybe as high as 20 miles an hour. So it's going to be a windy day to start the day on Thursday. And that means the wind chill is going to be an issue as you wake up on Thursday morning. It feels like, even though most of us won't see freezing temperatures tomorrow morning, we will all feel like freezing with the feels like temperatures probably down into the mid-20s. Those winds stay high throughout a good chunk of the day on Thursday. And despite the fact it will be sunny on Thursday, a lot of us may struggle to hit 50 degrees. It's going to be really, really cold. Now, here's the interesting thing. We are talking about maybe some snow this weekend, but we actually have a pretty good warm-up on the way. So we have a pretty good warm-up that's going to be coming in as we head into Friday and Saturday, where we'll be into the 60s. So watch what happens. Notice tomorrow night, winds die off pretty quickly. We'll get down into that sub 10 mile an hour range, close to 5 miles an hour overnight. So this evening, we have this little burst of showers that comes on through, maybe a couple hundredths of an inch. That's it. It clears out. And then we are very cold as we head throughout the day on Thursday, and then heading in through Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. We'll stay clear across our area, and that's when the cold air really begins to arrive as we head into tomorrow night. So for tonight, it's plain cold, but not freezing cold. We'll see temperatures dropping from the 50s down into the 40s, and eventually the 30s as we head into your Thursday morning. And you'll see that low temperatures. Now, I do think Crestview, Milton, over towards Pensacola, Escambia, Santa Rosa counties, you could flirt with freezing because that cold air is coming in. Everyone else should stay into the mid to upper 30s. So that's not going to be the coldest of the air. The coldest of the air is going to be in on Friday morning, when we'll see 20s inland and then 30s or upper 20s to near 30 at the coastline. Now, here's the big question, the $1 million question. Let's talk snow, okay? We have wintry weather moving in on Sunday morning as moisture is getting thrown across our area. So we have a chance for showers, but then that cold air starts to come in, and then you watch. There's your low pressure throwing the moisture in. The cold air is pushing in, and look at that. We could see a changeover from maybe sleet to snow over parts of our area as we head into Sunday morning, believe it or not. Now, we are going to talk all about that, the chances, why we think it's even possible. Coming up, what do we say? 2 minutes, Stan, we make them wait?
Minute 30 if we can get the computer to load.
Okay, let's go ahead.
When it comes to building, local experience matters. At Mid-South Lumber, our team knows the job, and we'll help you get it right the first time. From weekend DIY projects to full custom builds, you'll get solid materials, fair prices, and service you won't find at a big box store. That's why we're the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City. Mid-South Lumber. Shop local. Build with confidence. Let's quote your next project today.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. with professional-grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
Okay, patience is a virtue, my friend. So let's go ahead and get down to business here and talk about it. We are going to see a few showers tonight. We're turning windy and colder tonight. The rest of the week, we're going to see several cold blasts through the weekend. We're going to see one as we head through tomorrow into tomorrow night, and then another one as we head into the Monday time frame. Now, is there going to be any snow? It is going to be possible. Can't say it's likely, but it's definitely possible Sunday morning, the way it stands right now. So for this evening, again, mostly cloudy skies become mostly clear. We drop into the 30s across our area. Again, let's look at these winds. The winds are very windy as we head throughout Thursday. The wind chill will be a bit of an issue tomorrow morning into the mid-20s. Those winds stay elevated into Thursday, but notice Thursday night, those winds begin to die down. Now, look at this here. Look what happens Friday morning. We switched the winds already at the coastline. And so I think while we could freeze at the coast on Friday morning, it's a lot less likely necessarily than, say, obviously inland areas, which are going to be down 22, 23 degrees, but the beaches may be 29 to about 33, 34 degrees. So warmer because that wind begins to turn onshore pretty quickly, and that will bring in warmer air on Friday and Saturday, which is going to get us up into the 60s. And that would be one of the reasons why getting into the 60s on Friday and Saturday, that would maybe say, okay, is anything going to stick if we see anything? Because of the fact that just in the 60s, and then a few hours later, potentially, it's snowing. So again, there's your little burst of rainfall this evening. It moves on out, skies clear, and then you're nice and cold as we head through the day on Thursday. It's going to be a sunny day, but it's going to be a dry day, and it'll be a windy day. But I think we'll see temperatures about 48 to about 52 is about all we're going to be able to do on your Thursday. Now, temperatures Thursday morning, as we mentioned, near freezing, say to the western panhandle. Everyone else should be just above to about 40 degrees. We'll say 35 to 39. Feels like temperatures, as I mentioned though, lots of cold air in place. Look at these feels like temperatures dropping down into the 20s tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, just because the feels like temperatures in the mid-20s doesn't mean you have to wrap the pipes or do anything like that. It just is on exposed skin. It means like tomorrow morning going to work and school, ain't gonna be a whole lot of fun. Thursday's highs, there you see, 40s to near 50 degrees. And then as we head into Friday morning, there you go, 25, 23, 23, 22. But then right along the coast, 32, 33, 29, 33. You see a little bit warmer, especially the western panhandle along the coast, but inland areas will be frigid because, again, that onshore wind begins to develop, and that starts a warm-up that on Friday, we double up our temperatures Friday morning, more than double up the temperatures from Friday morning to Friday afternoon. We get up into the 60s on Friday, and we'll be back up into the 60s as we head into Saturday as well. So here's this big trough of low pressure. So this has been why it's been so cold and why it's going to stay cold. And so whenever you get into a persistent pattern like this, which obviously doesn't happen very often, is you're increasing your opportunities that something else develops down something else develops down to the south and we end up seeing, well, maybe some moisture get thrown into that cold air. So here's your first blast of cold air, but this won't be the one that gets us the snow. It's going to be another one behind that. And you see, this is on Saturday, a chance of rain during the day. So we'll see clouds return, chance of rain. Then we see overnight into early Sunday is when we see maybe frozen precipitation develop. The rain chances right now, 10 to 20%. That's about all we're going to be able to do. Now, futurecast, let's go ahead and talk this out here. Cold front, there's your rain. This is right now. So the cold front swings through, clears out. It's just plain old cold for Thursday. High pressure moves overhead Friday morning, and so it's going to be just plain cold, okay? Clear skies, that's our coldest morning. Quickly, that high moves away, opens up the Gulf. Here comes the warmer air as we head into your Friday and Saturday. Now, Saturday, here comes another front. Look along it. A little bit of precipitation, not a lot. Probably in the ballpark of what we saw this morning and what we might see this evening. But look out to the west. This is in the afternoon. You got some precipitation out here. Now, as we move throughout time, keep in mind what's happening. We have that cold air chasing the moisture off to the east. Go ahead and pop this up full screen real quick because I want to take it back a couple frames here because we had an update come in, so my pause point didn't stick where I wanted it to. So what's going to end up happening here is we have our precipitation. You can see the disturbance back to the west, and then you have high pressure in behind it chasing it, and so it's a race between the cold air and the moisture. And you can just watch as that rain starts to turn into a mixed precipitation and even the possibility of snow. Now, here's the one thing. We just got a new model run in. Did you see that, Dan? And if you look, you can see there's the moisture as low pressure develops. So what's happening right now is this low pressure is now throwing moisture into this cold air mass and allowing for wintry precipitation to develop Sunday morning. Now this is a brand new model run, which is different than the one I showed you guys, or that I posted in some of my updates a little while ago, because this one here keeps the wintry weather in here, but not to the extent that the model run did before. And now, you know, you're all at home saying, oh no. But this is why, like, we warn you, like, you can't like live and die model run to model run, because what's happening in the atmosphere is exactly the same as what it was before. It's just that now maybe there's a little less moisture, or maybe the cold air is a little bit slower. Is all this stuff has to come together exactly right in order to get snow. And then the chances that you would get anything like we saw last year are pretty much slim to none, because that's like the perfect scenario. And the chances that even happens, not very likely. So anyway, let's go ahead and bring in Dan. And Dan, do you want to take it from here and kind of talk us through the possibilities? I didn't know if you could hear me there. Did you see how that was a new model run that had just come in? It was just a hair less aggressive.
Yeah, the new model run is interesting, and I think if you were to, I wish we had the ability to put them side by side in our software here, just to show how thin that margin is between where is the moisture, which is, it's still an anabatic front, so there is moisture behind the boundary, which is a good thing if you like the snow, but there's still going to be a question as to how much does the cold air overlap with the moisture. And you're talking miles of difference here as the front moves through, between everybody being really excited, although I think no matter what happens, you're a bit disappointed compared to what happened last year, but at least some excitement with seeing it, versus if you have a little bit too much distance between the back edge of that moisture and the start of the cold, you basically lose out to dry air. You'll also get a little bit too much warmth pushing into the atmosphere. You might get a cold rain or no rain and be left with clouds and then bitter cold for the rest of Sunday. So it's going to be very close. But the good news is, for snow lovers, there's at least a chance. And you'll notice here from the latest national blend of models that's coming in. So this is not any single model run. This is kind of a conglomerate or interpolation bunch of different models smashed in together to say, what is the most likely thing that we could see here? And you'll notice as we pull this up full screen that we are definitely seeing a slight uptick in the amount of snowfall popping up here as far as the probability of seeing it. That doesn't mean the amounts would change. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see it either because the probabilities are low, but we've gone from a 10 to 15% chance to now a few spots dotted around a 30% chance. That will fluctuate, of course, over the next couple of days because we still are pretty far out when it comes to forecasting snowfall here on the Gulf Coast, especially given the fact that, the Gulf Coast really doesn't get it all that often, so it requires a whole lot more to go right than, say, if you were up towards the Great Lakes or if you were over towards the Northeast. It's certainly a little bit easier. But yes, I am saying that we have a chance. So there's going to be these pieces kind of coming together here. And what could happen if we were to see kind of the ideal best case scenario pop up is something that starts potentially in the overnight hours after midnight on Sunday morning. So you got Saturday night into Sunday morning, those chances start to pick up. The moisture is there. We'll see precipitation start, and then perhaps a changeover to sleet and snow if it were to work out as the model suggests. And then as the day goes onwards, dry air starts to win out, and of course temperatures warm up too. So unfortunately, my friends, definitely further south and east. The further south and east you are in our viewing area, the less likely it would be that you'd see any significant sort of snow fun out there for this weekend. Let's talk about what the models are showing. Again, I'm going to use the blended model here because I don't want to pick any given solution as the ultimate outcome. I just want to kind of mash them together and say what could be the most likely outcome if we were to get snowfall. And you'll see here, it's not 2025 levels of fun and a big snow extravaganza, but there is at least an opportunity there for, models pointing towards a half an inch. It's way too early to start forecasting exact totals. We have to decide whether or not it's going to happen first, but there's a good idea as to sort of a comparison of what this could produce versus what last year did for us. So we'll be watching that very closely. We'll be watching all those features very closely, and I have a few more things to show you here as we get through the forecast here. We can take a few questions as well, Chris, but obviously temperatures improving for Friday and Saturday, and then the bottom drops again for Sunday. Cold weather for the morning hours on Friday. So I did see a few folks that popped in here late through the show tonight. You might have missed the discussion about Friday morning low temperatures. I think it's a safe bet to just say, probably want to wrap the outdoor pipes and faucets, probably want to drip some water overnight Thursday into Friday. Not everybody's going to have cold enough temperatures and a long enough time below freezing to see frozen pipes, but it's easier to do it and not need to than to not do it and regret it. So we'll see temperatures pretty cold there for Friday morning and cold again for Monday morning behind the third of this series of fronts that's pushing on through. You'll see that in your 7-day forecast as temperatures continue over this 7-day period to sit at or below average. Now, Friday, Saturday, not terrible days through the afternoon hours. And Saturday morning, actually pretty comfortable as you wake up too. But the overall consensus here is for coastal spots, you see a lot of lows in the 30s, especially for next week. Inland spots, you see a few times that we dip inside of the 20s, and those will be the times that we need to think about wrapping pipes and dripping faucets. Protecting the peas will be a common discussion here on Panhandle Weather Live at 6, pretty much throughout the next 7 days. But I don't know, the cold weather was supposed to be the big talker for us here, Chris, and now it seems like we're seeing that overruled by the potential, at least for snowfall, and model trends are going to be important.
Yeah.
The model's trending so far the last 24 to 36 hours. If you love snow, they've been pretty good. But obviously, there's plenty of time left for models to pick up on maybe a sniff of dry air or what we'd call a warm nose, where the temperatures above your head are above freezing, even though the temperatures on the ground are cold enough for snow. And instead of getting any sort of winter extravaganza, you get either a mess of sleet. I don't necessarily think freezing rain's a huge problem just because ground temperatures are never really going to get cold enough for instantaneous freezing, but rain or sleet would certainly be a lot more depressing than seeing snowfall.
And that's a possibility too. And the latest model run that we had, the graph model or the Barron model was, it still showed wintry precipitation, but not quite as aggressive as the afternoon model run. So, we will 3.5 days out. So we got plenty of time to keep an eye on it and plenty of time to be disappointed. And the statistics tell us that we probably will be disappointed. But at this point, it's the old movie phrase, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, you're saying there's a chance. We could talk about this one more time here. We had this up a couple of days ago, Chris, and we were kind of joking about it, but here we are, talking about the ingredients we need to look for. And when you talk about forecasting this sort of stuff, I think the ingredients right now are more important than what any given model is spitting out, because those snow totals and the locations that could see snow are going to evolve and change or perhaps disappear altogether. But we're starting to see these four main puzzle pieces pop into place for different parts of the Southeast, and certainly could be something we see all fall into place across parts of the Panhandle too, because we obviously have that cold Arctic air mass in place, and we're starting to see that little development of a low in along that front that sinks through over the course of the weekend here. You got that small little rain chance Saturday out in front of the front, and then it does look like maybe a little energy could try to get a low going, which would help give you that Gulf moisture. That's kind of step two. The lift, of course, coming from the front and in behind the front, maybe a little pressure trough too, to just help kind of keep things rising in the atmosphere. I think part four, which is a two-parter, is going to be the thing that might trip us up as far as getting snowfall. Can we get the entire atmosphere to stay below 32 degrees? And can we keep moisture in the atmosphere when that happens? So we're going to have to watch very closely for that warm nose, especially as we keep our eyes focused here on the weekend. And I think there's a pretty good picture of it here. Let me make sure my mic doesn't mute there. But here's kind of what we're looking at when we talk about that warm nose. As you get that cold front to it, cold front comes through, it acts like a wedge. And these sorts of fronts where the precipitation's happening behind the boundary can be somewhat problematic for getting the snowfall, because it's cold at the ground, of course, behind the front, but you could still have a little overrunning warmth and moisture above you, and that's where you start to see things like the sleet, where the snow falls, it goes through a layer of the air that's warmer than freezing, 32 degrees or warmer, it melts, and then it comes back down as ice pellets, which are certainly a lot less pretty than snowfall itself. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye out for if we find ourselves in the position.
Yeah, I think we're
just
going
muted
to.
there, and we hung up our phone call.
Check your
That's
mic
going to
there,
be.
Early. Oh, well, it may be on my end. We may have disconnected here. But I think the important thing to note here is that we'll start at rain and probably see sleet appears to be a little bit more likely. So we'll see that possibility of sleet, and then will we change over to snow? Because the actual air temperatures are going to end up being, the actual air temperatures are going to end up being above freezing. So we're not going to see freezing temperatures during this period. So it's not like it's going to be snowing in 30 or 32. It's going to be probably in like the mid to upper 30s. So we won't see freezing rain. I feel pretty confident in that. The cold air is back behind it, but I think we'll see rain changing to sleet, changing to snow. And it's just a matter of, by the time we switch to snow, is there any moisture left, with it? Now, yesterday we talked about the ensemble models. And I think Dan was the one talking about that. And so when we come back, yesterday, I can't remember what the numbers were, but it was like less than 10, right? Wasn't it like 5 or something like that? Like it was.
Yeah, let me get my mic back on. Yesterday, we saw 6 members looking towards Defuniak Springs that showed snowfall. Mariana had 4. Now we're kind of in the teens on average, and then a few spots, Milton, Crestview, are a little more than that. So the trend is at least improving.
Yeah, and this is the European model for Panama City, okay? So we have the European model for Panama City, and then we go to, this is for Mariana, okay? And I don't want you to get all lost in the weeds of what these numbers are, but I think what it is important to note is just looking at it as a whole, that the lines that we have that have numbers on them indicating, oh, there's accumulating snow, There are a lot more than there were yesterday. And there's a lot more of the blank ones, which would say no snow. And so that's the ensemble. So the operational model showed snow as well. But a lot of times, like maybe the operational shows snow, but a lot of the members don't show it. And so that lends to not having a lot of confidence in it. So like whenever you see social media posts and stuff like that, a lot of times they cherry pick the one that looks worse and put it out there as saying, oh, it's possible. But when you really kind of dive into the details, you know it's not super possible. So, but the trend with both the European for Panama City, now you definitely notice there were fewer showing winter precipitation in Panama City than there are up into Mariana. The American model, this is showing snow, and this is for Mariana. And again, similar story, more locations showing snow than not, or I'm sorry, more ensembles showing snow than not. And even into Panama City, a similar story there. Now, the way they do this is it shows like 0 inches or 1 inch, but it's 0 to 1 inch, and then 1 and above. And you see there's only one member that brings 2 inches into Panama City, and a whole bunch that bring either 0, like a trace of snow, to 1 inch of snow. But the reality is that compared to yesterday, we have a lot more ensembles that are saying it's possible. Our graph model was showing it. Not as much with the evening run I just showed you than what the earlier today was. But again, that's just the models are going to kind of do that. And, it's still showing a similar setup, just a little bit different output. And it just goes to show how precarious it is to get snow in Florida. It just doesn't happen very often, obviously. And certainly scenarios like last year, very rare to happen. So, I think it's just important to note that it's, anything 3 days out. Let's even look at hurricane forecasting. There's still a lot of error in that, as much as we know. And there's like a lot more error when it comes to snow, especially here in the deep south. So, is this, are you working on, this is the Barron model that you're working on?
Okay, yes. So I'm going to pull this up on screen, and got my mic stayed on there. So this is the latest run of our Barron computer model. This is the in-house computer model that we pay a decent chunk of money for to have kind of a high-resolution, longer-range view. Obviously, the high-resolution rapid refresh model that NOAA provides goes out not quite as far as what we're looking at here, and it looks like we lost our graphics output there for a second, Chris, with the touchboard going out. So we'll, there we go.
There we go.
Maybe not.
No, it's, there you go.
There we are. Okay, so hopefully I can do this without disrupting everybody, but that is the most recent run that came in literally during the show that we are doing right now. And if I change this, and get rid of that, let's go back to the 12Z run. There you see. There's a good increase in coverage of places across the Panhandle that saw snowfall on that run. And then we go back to 6Z, and it's like almost nobody. So, you're more familiar, more than likely, watching this with hurricane season, like Chris talked about. We talk about the windshield wiper effect of model tracks of hurricanes potentially shifting one direction or another. We'll see the same sort of thing with this until we get closer to the event and kind of reach that consensus. All the models will come close to an agreement as you get within a very short time window leading up to the day where this could potentially happen. And there's going to be folks watching, hoping that it all kind of trends towards a consensus with a lot of snowfall, Chris. And there's going to be folks certainly liking a trend potentially closer to this, like what we woke up to with our computer model, which had a lot less snow.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, last night, almost nothing. And then now it's like, some of us. And then earlier today, it's like, praise Jesus, here you go, it's coming.
It looks a whole lot more like last year when you start talking about those numbers this far out, and the coverage too. That seems a little unlikely to me, just because last year was incredibly perfect as far as the alignment of all the ingredients, and the fact that, like, leading up to the stow last year, the air was moving from up towards Canada down towards the Panhandle, and as it was moving in that direction, infecting over all of this snowpack that was in place across parts of the Midwest. So it wasn't warming up nearly as much as we're seeing right now. It's obviously cold outside, but the air does moderate a whole lot more before this front than what we saw last year with a similar setup.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be in the 60s on Saturday, so now we'll start to see more clouds, but, Friday will be nice and sunny and warm. I say warm, like we're still a teeny bit below average, but that's definitely where we're going. Now, hey, Dan, go ahead and pull up that the surface map where the new model run came in, and we'll go to like where the snow is, but we'll do the same thing you just did. So you can see like that difference as far as like where the frozen precip is. So there you see, and there's your rain switching over to sleet and then turning into snow. But also too, like notice where that rain is located. It's like right at the coast, like there's like a rain snow line right at the coast.
Yeah, it cuts off a ton right there, and we'll put that in full screen for you to see all the details as much as you need. I'm going to chop out the cloud coverage there, so I only have to change one parameter
There you
at
go.
once. But that's the latest run. So again, we're at 18Z as far as the time of that initialization. You go back to this afternoon's run that came in, and there's a lot less rainfall to be seen. It's a much earlier changeover, and it lasts for longer too. You even see somewhat offshore, southwest of Pensacola, some snowfall there too. And then we go back to the 6Z, so this is what we woke up to on the computer model. And it started out looking promising, but you'll see very quickly as this, well, we can't go out that far.
Yeah,
Very
we're
quickly-
kind of at the fringe of the time scale for it.
Yeah, on the larger resolution, the 15-kilometer grid spacing model, you did see things kind of change over as the sun came up. Obviously, it's not going to be a warm day on Sunday, but you get close to 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the day, it's just not going to be close enough to 32 degrees for there to be anything other than rainfall, if we have precipitation at all.
Yeah. So, yep. I mean, it's definitely interesting, but, everyone hold your horses. It's 3+ days out.
Yeah, plenty of time to keep an eye on it and break some hearts or get everybody real excited about this weekend. And I said on Facebook today, right around noon, Chris, you could tell the kids they have a snow day on Sunday, and I think they might not have school Monday too.
Yeah, they
if
did.
They observe
Yeah,
MLK Day.
that was the first thing I told my kids. Like, they said, so, is it going to snow? And I said, well, it's possible. But I said, like, it's going to happen, like Sunday morning, and it's going to be relatively warm. Like, I don't think it's going to stick around very long, and you don't have school on Monday, so like you would definitely have school on Tuesday. So like, you can go ahead and you can be excited about the possibility of snow, but like, don't be thinking about school because there's no school on Monday as it is.
You could still have to do math homework.
Yes.
I remember. That was the thing growing up, was like trying to gauge whether or not I was going to bother with homework or like take the gamble of not having school the next day.
I did that in college at FSU for a meteorology exam for Hurricane Opal. Like, we were hedging on whether we would have school and we had an exam, and then like whether we would come over here and see the landfall. So no, I'm totally understand, and I can appreciate it, but I'll use this to my benefit to be like, oh, Charlie, if it snows and you haven't done your math homework, so I would knock that out on Saturday.
No, that's going to work out just great. Well, we'll still have plenty more, I'm sure, coming over the next few days.
Yeah.
So be sure to ask your questions in those comment sections or join us again tomorrow night for another breakdown. We'll look through the models all over again. And I think by that time frame, we'll have a few more models to play with as we start getting closer. And some of those models can come into picture as far as what evolves on Sunday morning. Fun to think about nonetheless, but too early for us to pick with any sort of confidence which direction this is going to go.
Yep. So it's a possibility. We'll keep an eye on it. I spoke today. I spoke to the master gardeners at the University of Florida Extension Office in Bay County. I thank them for their support and for asking me to come talk about Panhandle weather and a little bit about how we can kind of cater some of our products to farming and agriculture. And then tomorrow I have a homeschool group in Panama City Beach that I'm going to. So I'll be talking to them. And in between, the goal is to post some updates on the weather, hopefully positive for maybe a little bit of snow. But there you see, right now we're resting at about almost no chance in Appalachia to a 10 to 20% along the coast, 30% inland chance of maybe seeing some snow. Not a repeat of last year, but some snow Sunday morning.
That's going to do it for us here this evening. A very productive 6 o'clock show. Thanks for everybody stopping by and tuning in. Let us know in the comments, too, if you're team snow or team no snow, because that'll help us change what we're looking for with these models. It certainly can't change the forecast, but I think the messaging can change, just whether or not we phrase it as an exciting thing or oh no.
Yeah.
Things are looking snowier.
And make sure to share on social media, share our content on social media so more and more people find out and know where we are and what we're doing. Some folks are still where did they go? Well, we're still out here. We're just doing a whole lot more weather than we used to do. And we plan on owning the weather when it comes to Northwest Florida. And so that's what we're going to do.
Perfectly fitting end here. We have Whitney saying team snow, Carol saying no snow. I think we just go full steam ahead, Chris, with what we think is going to happen, and we'll avoid saying whether or not it's exciting or disappointing.
Yes,
the direction.
Absolutely. But y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thanks as always for your support. And I dropped some new updates on the channel just a little while ago, and we'll continue to keep those coming out with the very latest forecast information. But we'll do another show tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
All right. So tomorrow,